Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of creating equations from points, but specifically how to do that when you're using algebra, meaning you're solving out an equation as opposed to graphing it. Okay, so go ahead and follow along with your notes with me. There are multiple different methods to creating linear equations from a set of points. One way to do this is by calculating the slope and substituting one of the points to find the y-intercept. Okay, so recall we've taken notes on this before in slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. M stands for the slope, and B stands for the y-intercept. If you're still not sure about identifying those, you want to make sure that you come in for tutoring or come into practice. Okay? So let's get into some examples. So here's the first example. It says create an equation for a line that passes through -3, +5, and 3, -3. So you want to think about this as in two big steps. Alright, so we know we want to end up with something that looks like y equals mx plus b, right? Where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and find the slope. One of the ways that we've learned how to do this is by creating a table of values. So x, y, plug in my points, -3, +5. That's my first point right here, and this is my second point right here. 3, -3. Now I'm going to find the change in y divided by the change in x. So the change in y here is -8, and the change in x here is +6. Okay, so from 5 to -3, I'm subtracting 8. From -3 to +3, I'm adding 6. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in, -8 over 6. And I know that I can reduce that. Out of both of these numbers, I can divide a +2. So that makes it -4 over 3, or -4/3. Okay, so now I can actually start to substitute this slope into the equation. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and quickly erase this just so we have enough room. So this is -4/3. Okay, so now I can go ahead and substitute this in for m. So I'm going to write y equals, but instead of m, I'm going to write -4/3 x plus b. Okay, I'm halfway there because now I just need to figure out the b, the y-intercept. So here's my second big step. My second big step is that I'm going to take one of these 2 points, either -3, 5 or 3, -3, and substitute it in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. And I know that this is an x value, that my x value is -3 and my y value is +5. So all I'm going to do is replace that for my y value here and my x value here. So instead of y, I'm going to write +5. So 5 equals, still got my slope as -4/3, and instead of my x, I'm going to write -3, parentheses, -3, plus b. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and solve this out for b. So I've got 5 equals, and then I can multiply across here. Remember, when you're multiplying by a whole number, you can put it over 1. So -4 multiplied by -3 gives me a +12, and a 3 multiplied by +1 gives me a +3, plus b. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow and move my work over. So now I'm going to write 5 equals, now I can simplify this 12 divided by 3 into 4. 4 plus b. So now I have a simple one-step equation, so I can try and solve for b. Right? So I can either say 4 plus something equals 5, or I can subtract 4 from both sides, use some inverse operations, and find out that 1, let's turn it into red because now I know that that is my b. So if I've got my m over here, my slope, and I've got my b over here, I can write my equation. Y equals my slope, negative 4/3 x plus 1. Sorry, I was having some difficulties. So y equals negative 4/3 x plus 1 is my final equation. Okay, let's try a different example. So the big idea here is you find your slope, you substitute it in, and you substitute in a point, and then you're able to find your equation. It says create an equation for a line that passes through 2, -2 and 3, -4. So again, my big first step is to find my slope. So x, y, make a quick table, 2, -2 and 3, -4. Find my change in y, that's subtracting 2, and my change in x, that's adding 1. So now change in y divided by my change in x equals -2 divided by +1, which is equal to -2. So I found my m. This is my slope. Okay, now if that was too fast for you, go ahead and pause it. Listen to what I'm saying as I'm writing it out. Now again, I'm looking for something that looks like y equals m x plus b. Okay, so I just figured out my m, so I'm going to go ahead and substitute that in, -2 x plus b. Now my big second step is to choose one of these points to substitute in. I like working with different numbers, so I'm going to say x, y. This is my y value now, and this is my x value. So instead of this y, I'm going to write -4 equals, still got my slope of -2, and instead of this x, I'm going to write +3 plus b. Now I'm in a similar situation where I can just solve out the problem. So I've got -4 equals -2 multiplied by 3 gives me a -6 plus b. Now I can use inverse operations, add 6 to both sides of the equation. -4 plus 6 gives me a +2, which is equal to b. And again, this is my y-intercept. So I can write my equation, which is y equals -2 x plus 2. And that's my final equation. Okay? And we have one final example. On that one, I'm going to do the work more quickly, so try and follow along. Again, two big ideas. Find your slope, substitute it in. Find a point, substitute it in. Create an equation for a line that passes through 3, 3 and -3, -1. My first step, find my slope. X, y. 3, 3. -3, -1. 3 to -1, that's subtracting 4. 3 to -3, that's subtracting 6. So my change in y divided by my change in x is equal to -4 over -6. And I can divide both of those by -2 to get a +2 over 3 as my slope. I recall that I'm trying to get something that looks like y equals m x plus b. I start substituting it in. Y equals 2/3 x plus b. I'm going to go ahead and choose this point. That way I don't even have to get confused with my y and my x. They're both +3. So I'm going to write 3 equals